Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. Isn't it a pity that Rachmaninoff wrote only 4 piano concertos? Well, now we can have another one. Oh, there's the Paganini Rhapsody too, of course. But now we can have another one, the Concerto Élégiaque for piano and orchestra in D minor after his piano trio, the trio Élégiaque. You know, Russian composers, for some reason, have this habit of writing big, long, huge piano trios when people die. Tchaikovsky did it, and Rachmaninoff did it. And this is a huge work. I mean, it's 43 minutes long. And it actually kind of, sort of makes sense as a piano concerto. It's a beautiful piano trio. I'm not sure that the heaviness of the orchestration is a good thing, because it's a trio Élégiaque. It's going to end quietly. The kiss of death. It has 3 big movements. A moderato leading to allegro vivace, 20 minutes long. And then a quasi-variazione, into which is appended the allegro risoluto finale. The piano writing is Rachmaninoff. It's big and dense and heavy and exciting, and it's very well played here by Alan Kogosowski, who made the arrangement. He does a very good job with it. He clearly believes in his work. The orchestration is effective. It does sound Rachmaninoff-y for the most part. I mean, there's some late Rachmaninoff. There's like some xylophone things and stuff going on that Rachmaninoff didn't get to until about the time of the symphonic dances of the 4th piano concerto. But it's plausible. It's totally plausible. The performance is very, very good. It features the Detroit Symphony under Neeme Järvi. I mean, this is not a new recording, but one of you mentioned it when I was talking about the orchestration of the Rachmaninoff suites for 2 pianos. And so I figured, what the heck, we should go back and talk about this too, because, it's a fascinating phenomenon. I have to digress for a minute. It's a fascinating phenomenon, this habit we have of taking works. We have Kitty down here having a nervous breakdown with her toys. Having composers who we love, who wrote a few works that are absolutely iconic and incredibly popular, and so we want more. We gotta have more. There has to be more. And so we write more. Here's Elgar's 3rd Symphony, which Elgar never wrote. There's Mahler's 10th Symphony, which Mahler never finished. There's Bruckner's 9th, which Bruckner never finished. There's the Schubert Unfinished, which Schubert never finished. There are all these pieces that exist in sketches and bitlets, and some person shows up and puts them together. I mean, the Ravel piano trio became a glorious orchestral work at the hands of Jean-Pascal Tourtellier. Some things work better than others. And I have to say, Rachmaninoff is a composer who had a very well-defined style, a somewhat limited emotional range. It went from sort of, gloomy romanticism to slightly less gloomy romanticism. Sometimes he was genuinely jolly, but very, very few times. Remember, Stravinsky referred to him as a 6-foot scowl, or 6.5-foot scowl, something like that. So it's makes sense to take one of his large works that includes piano and turn it into a concerto type thing. And to, top it all off, his concertos are very symphonic, at least the ones we love, the 2nd and 3rd. They're practically symphonies with piano obbligato. So you don't lose anything in the piano trio format by giving the orchestra the other trio parts and having the piano be the concerto soloist, because the interaction between instruments and the soloist remains much the same. The balances are different, of course, because the orchestra is much bigger and much louder, but the concept between solo and others, as it were, works well. So I enjoyed this. It was recorded in, when was it recorded? Let's find out. 1994. Wow. Gosh, could it really be that long? 30 years ago? 31 years ago? My goodness. And, I heard it way back then and forgot all about it, frankly. And you also get an orchestration of his Corelli variations, which were just for piano solo. And this is an orchestration that I find slightly less convincing, mostly because the Corelli variations are such a terrific piano piece. And some piano pieces, like when Ravel does it, you get amazing differences. But the reason you get amazing differences is because you forget all about the piano original and you hear it as though the other version didn't exist. Here, that's not quite the case. I don't think that, it's not that the orchestration isn't idiomatic. It mostly is. It's simply that if you know the piano work and you love the piano work, then hearing it orchestrated as opposed to reconceived by its composer for another medium isn't going to be quite as satisfying. But it's a good performance. Performance is fine. And we also have the Vocalise because, well, someone's got to, have a reason to buy the record. Right? So there you have it. 2 more Rachmaninoff orchestral works. I'm really happy with what we have. I don't think we need more. But it was an interesting experiment, and it's fun to dip into now and again. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks very much for joining me. Take care.